And it's completely okay to fail. It's completely okay to not be perfect.
More than 70% of the working professional don't even know that they're going through mental illness.
People always say about the best case scenario,
yes,
okay?
yes.
Let's talk about the worst case scenario. The reason why you're still here today is because you've always found a way. So I have cried, of course, where I have, turned back and, second guessed myself.
It's like, okay, I'm sorry to hear about your divorce, but honestly, I'm not.
It's
I'm actually
okay.
very happy. The most part of my life, if I would have planned it, I wouldn't have been able
No.
to plan this as well.
I wear my battle scars on my skin proudly. They're like my tattoos.
First time that I would admit this, that I have been through. And I didn't know my palpitation actually meant anxiety. I did not know that my short breath meant anxiety. Ganpati Bappa Moria! So we're right here with the first ever episode in person that happens for the Link Prana stories. And sometimes we say dream comes true. It's not a dream. I had not even imagined that I could have had done an in-person talk show. But I am doing it today with an amazing person we have with us. Now, who is she? I know you're watching her. I know you're looking at her. And if not, then let me tell you. We say that a beauty with brains is a difficult combination to find. We say a person, if she's damn intelligent, probably may not be very beautiful. But what if I say she's a doctor? What if I say she's a first runner-up of Mrs. Malaysia World 2019-2020? What if I say she is a mental health advocate? And not only all of this, she also wears another hat. She's a mother to a 9-year-old. Can we really do all of this? Can it really be a reality for a woman to be working in a media space and at the same time going back to the hospital and making sure that with her psychiatry, empowering a lot of people to come out of their pains and their state of health? So we have with us today Deepa Sreenivasan, the lady herself, to share her journey, her story, and to break some barriers at the talk show, Break Your Barriers, powered by Link Prana Stories. So Deepa, how do you feel at the moment right now?
I feel pretty nervous, but thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really grateful for this opportunity. I mean, it is something that I am really looking forward to.
Trust me, I'm equally excited about it because when I came to know about you, all I knew was the health aspect, and suddenly I found out, okay, damn, she also was the first runner-up to the Mrs. Malaysia World. How is it even possible? How does that even work? I mean, is it? So let's just go back a little bit. You are Mrs. Malaysia World. So before even I go with the story, I want to bring your attention towards that after marriage, most of the times when it is thought from a perspective of a woman, the life changes. And if not for good, most of the times it really gets into a static space. But to walk into something which is, that kind of stage, how did it happen for you? What's the journey like?
Well, I would say that the journey, if I may be honest, wasn't a very typical one.
Okay.
So I think to begin with, I was never really a person who was contented with a very routine kind of life, right?
Okay.
Which means that I think being a doctor, you would understand that it is a very academic kind of background that we come from, and the work itself entails a routine, a fixed routine. So you go to work, you treat patients, and then you come back and things like that. But I think a big part of me growing up was always trying to challenge myself with new things in life and always trying to use every opportunity to learn something new. I was a very curious child.
Oh, is it?
So,
I mean, When you say curiosity, just give me a little bit of example about it. Like, what is curiosity?
Okay, so let me just say that as a child, I felt like, books were my best friends. Okay, so my mom actually got me a set of encyclopedia. I think I was maybe about 4.5 to 5 years old, but I loved, I may not have been really good at reading it, but the pictures in it looked really exciting and very interesting, and I learned so many new things, right? So that is what I love, because until today I believe that it's really essential that one must learn at least one new thing every day, right?
Oh.
I was actually very curious because I started asking questions, and those materials seemed to provide me with the information that I was hungry for. So eventually, I think as a child, I decided to test my limitations even then, and decided that, okay, I'm going to take part in little competitions, even in school. And I took part in a few things like storytelling, although I was really scared. Speaking in front of public, there is a certain amount of social anxiety to that. But I don't know. It was something quite exciting about it.
I want to reflect here a little bit, because you told me in our in our earlier discussion that you were a very silent kid.
I was.
And then cut to you are doing dramas or in coming up on the stage.
Yeah.
So was it some kind of an effortful event that you had to put through to be there, or was it like effortless and you were right up there?
Okay, so I would have to say, and this is something that I owe to my parents, I think they were very encouraging that way.
Okay.
So despite being a very quiet but very curious child, going through all these reading materials and learning about a thing or two, actually to some extent did allow me to gain some amount of confidence, and I realized that it actually did help me expand my vocabulary. For example, I'm just giving you an example, right? So it expands your vocabulary, it allows you to converse with not just children who are of the same age, but in fact adults, and you learn more new things because adults can teach at that age, right? So adults teach you newer things, and then you start to realize, like, okay, there's a competition coming up in school, and although I'm really nervous about it, but I'm still quite curious, how would it feel to actually take part?
Yes.
And this is when I remember coming back home and telling my dad about it, and my dad has always been a very supportive person, so has been my mom, and they were like, okay, why don't you give it a go? So I remember as a child, though nervous and very shy, I would actually stand in front of them and practice.
In front of your parents?
Yeah, in front of my parents and practice. And I would say, okay, just correct me where I'm wrong, and do I need to change my intonation for this, and how do I say this, and how do I capture the audience attention for this, and so on. And it started to get really exciting, right? And this in turn actually did build my passion in drama eventually, and plays. And I took part in school plays and things like that. And slowly, I guess, to some extent, from that quiet and very shy child, it got the confidence rolling, and I wanted to actually take up newer challenges. I wanted to test my limits, and this is how I actually started taking on newer and newer competitions, and I guess that just carried through until adulthood, and there you have pageantry.
I have to tell you, Deepa, though you are speaking in a very casual tone and in a very natural way, but let's look at it. You were a child who have been a little introvert, for the lack of a better word, and have been finding answers to the questions in encyclopedia given by parents, of course. But then let's see your path from curiosity that was self-generated, and you did not know that it would actually lead you to confidence to walk up on that stage and really go there. So we see here that how education can genuinely make a difference, or how empowering yourself with answers to your own soul, and not just living with the fact that, okay, this is how it is and you can't do much about it, and you just accept the way it is, because if you didn't have those curiosity, you were not going up on that stage.
True.
Right?
So if you're not actually willing to get out of your comfort zone for the sake of learning, because I think we are so much focused on the end results of things that we tend to forget the entire journey of just learning from an experience. Right? So if you are the kind of person who genuinely appreciates the growth that comes from the process rather than the result is a bonus.
Yes.
But the journey is something that I think can teach one a lot of things. It is also the part to building resilience. right?
That's
so
true.
you're not good, you practice and you get better. You're not good, a few things can be tweaked and you practice and you get better.
Right.
And that's how I see it.
I think the aspect where we are talking about taking from curiosity to confidence, and then, of course, reflecting back a little bit on the kind of parenting you received, I think that played an integral role. Though I wouldn't want our viewers or the women who are watching us to really take this as an excuse that, oh, I didn't have the parents like Deepa had it. But I think I will credit that to you as well, to go out to your parents and say, oh, please listen me out and correct me. Half of the time we're like, okay, you listen me out, but I mean, you don't have the courage to take criticism.
Exactly.
Or feedback to
Yes.
say, and then that's where your growth stops.
Yes.
So the moment when you have that mindset that you want to grow, and the growth is coming from feedback, the growth comes from review, the growth comes from, it's not critique, it's healthy critique.
Yeah.
And that helps you to grow. I love that. And why I'm reflecting that as a pointer is because if someone is parenting right now, I think they would want to really take this into consideration.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if you didn't have it, it doesn't mean you can still not do it. You can still have people around you as mentors or as friends or as people who are wishing well for you,
Yeah.
to give you feedback, to give you reviews,
Yeah.
to really help you uplift.
So I think coming back to that, I think what you said was really interesting and really good. You see, being a child too, I think it's important to also be surrounded by the kind of support which is non-judgmental, which means that it is so important for a parent to tell the child, or for the child to know that they are loved unconditionally, even if they make a mistake.
Yes.
And it's completely okay to fail. It's completely okay to not be perfect. It's okay if you don't make it. It's okay if you don't get number one. These are sometimes things that you see a lot of pressure being put on children like that. And I think that is a hurdle for growth.
Yes.
Because you hold yourself to that kind of perfection and expectation that it actually prevents you from venturing into things with the bravery or with the courage to know that you may fail and it's okay, you know.
And I'm so glad that you're saying this. I really want to ask one piece of advice. Like, for example, someone who did not get that kind of parenting, right? And they were surrounded with judgments, and they had people around them who always wanted them to be perfect. And I really want to emphasize a little bit, women are expected to be like the best daughter, the best wife, the best daughter-in-laws, or everything. I mean, everything. And to men as well. They are hoped to be running the house and stuff and all of
Yeah.
that. If you have not got that kind of parenting, right, how do you manage your adolescences and you still break that barrier inside of you? I really want to hear it. What would your piece of advice
Well,
be?
I think you know, not many people,
Right.
okay, not everybody has got the most comfortable and the most easiest of circumstances.
Right.
A lot of us actually don't have the benefit of that.
Correct.
Right. But I think somewhere in this person's life, there normally is this one person at least that can be an anchor and a mentor, and that can be an aunt, it can be an uncle, or it can be a teacher.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
who actually holds on to the hope that this child actually possesses within them,
Right.
the power to change their lives.
Right.
Right. So it's also about empowering those people who you believe can be
Even
a
if
source
it's
of support. Yeah, even if it's one.
And I'm just, because Deepa, you're a mental advocate as well, and more than 70% of the working professional don't even know that they're going through mental illness. Means it's an unawareness
Sure.
inside of them. So I would love to understand that, what if that person wants to believe that he doesn't even have that one person in life? Can they go out and seek for people? Can they look for the right people outside of their space? Or what is that way, if they believe, I'm not saying it's a situation, but sometimes we're like having our own blind spots, right? And we're like, okay, I don't have anyone. Maybe Deepa, you had parents. Maybe Khush, you have a husband, or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I don't have anyone. So in that situation, what do you usually recommend?
I would actually recommend, okay, assuming that, you know, it is it is, you don't have anybody to turn
Right,
to.
right.
Now, there are actually counselors which are available,
Right.
This is in our Malaysian healthcare system
Correct,
and setting.
correct,
We
correct.
have counselors in the primary care settings where you can actually go up to them and in very stressful situations, go down, have a chat with them, and they would
So
actually take
getting
some initiative.
outside help is not a
No,
bad thing,
it's not a
right?
bad thing at all.
Right, right.
Okay, it's not a bad thing at all. I think what is most beautiful over here that you need to acknowledge is that the fact that you realize that you need help.
Yes.
That is a great thing.
Correct,
right?
absolutely. And I
Yeah.
think I would really want by the end of this, half of the people who do not accept the fact that they need help, maybe they
Yeah.
get that realization. But just going back to your journey of really becoming a Mrs. Malaysia World and at the same time pursuing your medical journey, right?
Right.
How did you balance the two?
Well, I would say that it would boil down to perspective.
Okay.
Because it isn't easy. I used to be a doctor full time. I work weekdays, right, at the hospital. But come weekend, I would actually take the time to do things that I enjoy.
Right.
So I think I did mention that I loved plays and I love any mode of expression.
Yes.
And I guess the only way to do that in adult life was actually taking up commercials and doing commercials and joining something like Pageantry.
Commercials.
Yes.
Okay, we would love to know your commercial journey. Yes, what?
Okay, so
How did that even happen?
so I'm a full-time doctor,
Right.
and I come from a very academic background, and which means
Okay,
that
academy and a commercial.
no, which means
Doesn't
that,
go along
no, which
together, but
means
yes,
that which means that you're expected to be with your books most of the
Yes,
time.
that's
right?
true.
Okay, but and that and work, so that becomes a routine, and I felt like that I was not really channeling enough time for my hobbies and things that I enjoyed. And I was pretty curious and I did want to learn something new in life and I wanted to learn a new skill at least. And if you look at doctors, when we get together, we end up speaking about our patients.
Yes, that's true.
Or we start speaking about normally, well, this is not in all cases, but medical related and things like that. And I really wanted that curiosity in me really picked up when I realized that the world was actually a bigger place and I wanted to learn more about things related to business, to IT. I wasn't very good at the computers and I really wanted to learn how to be better. And so I decided, okay, you know what? I want to learn about acting. And the only way was probably to join an open casting. So my friend actually urged me and she was like, there's an open casting being done by this commercial agency. Why don't you go? I said, what are the chances that I'm going to actually, secure
I'll
a
pause
spot?
here. I'll pause here.
Yeah.
I think so many decisions we make in our life
Yeah.
is at this stage exactly what you said just now. What are the odds that I would be able to make it through?
Yeah.
And I would say the odd is 0.1%. Let's just say. And in your situation where you were in medical, what are the odds? Let's look at it. I don't think you had a background
No.
in, correct?
Not
Right,
at
you
all.
didn't- Right.
I didn't go to acting school. I didn't.
I really
Yeah.
want to ask you, what was that one piece of emotion that made you feel that, okay, even if I don't win it and the odds are that I won't go through, what got you to go through that? Because most of the times, even women specifically, they are asked to be so perfect in life that the idea of failure is so scary for them that they don't even want to try it.
First of all, there is no such thing as being perfect. There is no perfection in anything in life. And this is something that I think you need to understand and be able to accept. So that's a key word, right? So what's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, you fail. You don't get the part in the advertisement, but so what? It does not mean that you can't do so many other things that you enjoy, right? And what do you have to lose by putting yourself out there? So this is when I actually went in for the open casting. And I didn't expect, honestly, I didn't have any expectations at all. I
think
enjoyed
that is the most beautiful part.
No, I just enjoyed the process of just being able to go there and do a little bit of acting. And lo and behold, after a month, I get a call from the agency and they say, hey, you know what? They want you for a commercial for Abbott, right? Abbott, I think, you'd know is a brand that produces even milk powder and things like
Yes,
that. And so
yes.
they wanted me to do an advertisement for a milk powder, one of their milk powders.
Let's reflect back. You are already married by then?
At that time, yes, I was.
And
yeah.
you had your daughter?
My daughter was really young at that time.
How old was
I think she was probably around 2 or 3 years old.
So I wanna take a pause again, and I really, how many times have we stopped living our dreams because we are a mother, because our child is just growing up? How many times have we really given us an excuse that we can't do something just because we have a household responsibility of becoming a better wife, a better mother, or even to say better at our job, which in Deepa's case is a full-time medical job, to say, which is of very high responsibility, I personally feel. So it not only takes a lot of resilience, but I think it just takes not zero overthinking. I don't know why. I just felt like you went on trusting the process and you just went on, and you did not let your overthinking submerge you and say and make you think all the negative things, because overthinking is nothing but a process of repetitively thinking something until you hit a point of negativity.
Yeah, no. So actually, I think you should just surrender to the universe, You should just surrender to the process of how things will unfold in your life. A lot of times we find ourselves controlling the narrative, and I don't think that is going to get you anywhere, but it's only going to induce fear, anxiety, and fright in you. And I don't think that's going to actually end up benefiting you in any way. But let's just throw that anxiety and fear aside for a moment, right? And I always like to actually envision things like this, the worst case scenario. People always say about the best case scenario, okay?
Yes.
Let's talk about the worst case scenario. What can happen? You're not going to die from this.
Damn.
Okay, the worst case scenario is that you may fail. But so what? So what? That's not the end of the world. You would have learned something from the process that would have aided in your growth. And I can assure you, even in the worst situations in your life, there is a silver lining behind it, because there is some lesson behind it. There is some growth that is happening. You just don't know it yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. And I think because we were talking previous to this session as well, and how your journey of being curious as a kid and reading books and connecting back to just your time in life about a year or two back, we do that. And I would really love for you to bring a lot of your stories and your inspiring moments, and even moments where you felt like giving up. But before that, let's have a bit of fun.
Okay. I'm in for fun.
Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we did something very interesting. So in Link Fauna Stories, almost in all my 75 episodes, we had some game that we played with our guests.
Okay.
So Deepa, I thought of playing with you, which is top of the mind recall.
Okay.
So it's all about the first word that comes in your mind.
Okay,
and guess
wow.
what? It's getting recorded, so we know if she thinks she'll get caught. So she cannot, right?
Okay.
So I'm going to say one word.
Okay.
And literally in a fraction of a second.
Yeah. Okay,
Whatever
I like
comes.
games, but
Okay.
But I'm nervous. I'm really nervous. Okay.
Okay, so let's do it. 1, 2, 3. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so what comes to your mind when I say Malaysia?
Unity.
Singapore.
Discipline.
Nasi lemak.
Love.
Love.
I love nasi lemak.
Love.
Love. Passion.
Your daughter.
My life.
Medical.
Wait. So many things came to my mind. Okay, I would say sterile.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about burgers?
KGB. Yeah.
Beaches.
Tropics.
Women.
Power.
Leadership.
Strong.
Passion.
Love.
Money.
Wealth.
Fame.
Glory.
Fortune.
Teller.
Okay, that's amazing.
That was really fun though.
Yes. Okay, it's not yet over, so we're gonna keep doing it. Yes.
Okay.
Leadership.
Are we still in the game?
Yes.
Okay. Power.
And the last thing, if I have to say what comes to your mind, Deepa.
Kind.
Oh, okay. That's beautiful.
Me
Nice.
too. I hope that's true, but yeah.
No, that's true. That's true. I can vouch for that. No, that's wonderful. I think you did pretty well, though you were very smart in between, and you just went up saying fame, glory, and I didn't get to know your side. I mean, it was so. Now that when you have doctors on the show, what else can you do? But it was amazing. It was
Okay,
really,
yeah.
really good.
Thank you.
So now bringing back to
Yeah.
our conversation where we
Yeah.
were, I really want you to go back to the commercial, right?
Mm-hmm.
So was it the commercial journey starting there for you? I
Yeah.
mean, it just happened that you got that commercial. What
Yes,
was it?
so it just so happened that Abbott called me and they said, okay, we want you on the video commercial.
Okay.
And I said, okay. And they were like, we're not going to pay much because you don't have any experience. It's your first time.
Okay.
And I was like, it's okay. I'm not really doing it so much for the money, but I'm
Right.
actually, it's about building your portfolio and I'm actually learning something, right? So
Right.
I did not even mind
Let
not
me ask
even.
you. I was just about to
Yeah.
ask you that. What if they were asking you to do it for free?
No,
Would
it's
you have
okay.
done it?
I would have done it.
Just watch it out,
I would have
guys.
done it.
She would have done it. And let's understand here. We have to do things in life for free or on pro bono when we are starting something we don't have experience for. Because it's not only an opportunity to build a portfolio, but it's also an opportunity to uncover a side of ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't enjoy it and then you would have not done the following commercials. But only if you would have dabbled into it,
Yeah.
tried if it was free, which
Yeah.
it wasn't. But it gave you an experience and you felt like, okay, there's a zeal to it, there's a kick to it, and I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I realized that, you know what, it's okay. I actually enjoy this process and I'm learning so many new things standing in front of a camera, which medical school never taught me.
Right.
Right? And I was learning, oh, okay, so this is how things work over here in a production house.
Correct.
So, and then after Abbott, so once the advertisement came out, Tesco, back then Tesco saw it and they were like, okay, Dr. Deepa, we're actually having a billboard. We're planning for a billboard advertisement. Would you be keen to be on it?
Damn,
And I said,
billboard.
are you for real? So when I took the call, are you for real?
Are you really saying that?
No, but it was along those lines because I said, what, really? It's like, really? It's like, yeah, really. Are you keen? And I said, well, yes, okay, because I just felt that I should say yes to all opportunities,
Once again,
right?
I would just say that I love your idea of trusting the process and not questioning the ultimate result of it.
No.
Even because people are like, oh, I may not look good. Oh, I don't know, billboard. I don't know what my family would think. I don't know what exactly my daughter would think watching me. Because everybody can be proud of it
Yeah.
if you are proud of it.
Yeah.
And everybody would be ashamed of
Yeah.
it if you are ashamed of it.
I mean, I do come from a family where our background is mostly academics, and nobody is really very much into the entertainment industry or into
Media,
commercials,
media.
media, and things
So
like that.
let me just ask you, even before you tell me how
Yeah.
the billboard experience was there any objection from your family, or did you have any kind of huddle to really say yes and then to fulfill that commitment?
Okay, well, they were very supportive to be fair,
Right.
but there was also a little bit of hesitancy in them. Like, do you really want to do this? You know,
Yeah.
this would probably interfere. Would this interfere with your career?
The medical career, right?
in
Yes.
medicine, would this mean that you'd halt your career and not progress and things like that? But I'm a firm believer of doing things that you love and want, right?
Right.
Because if you do things that you're passionate about, the end result is normally, in my opinion, well, to my understanding, it's always something which gives you happiness,
Right.
okay? Or even if you use a blanket word such as success, because success is so subjective, right? Happiness is
Correct.
also success in one's life. So at the end of the day, there are only good things that can come out of it,
Right.
So this is when I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And Tesco had me on a billboard, and then they called me for their Christmas advertisement, which was a video advertisement. And then Grab saw this, and Grab was like, can we have you on our billboard for Grab food?
Wow.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And I got onto Grab, and so we did the billboard, and a couple of months after that, a friend who was driving down the highway at that point, and she calls me and she's like, have you seen your face on the highway? And I'm like, where? What are you talking about? They're like, the billboard's already up. And I was like, what? Really? And the first thing I did was actually take my daughter, and we went straight away, to go and take a look at it. And I think at that moment, looking at her face and seeing how, in a certain way, that I have actually impacted her take on taking chances and actually doing things that you love. And that is actually something that I can't put to words. And also looking at the fruits of what I would believe as the courage to do things which scares you, that is something quite unexplainable.
Absolutely.
Right?
What was the first reaction your daughter had when she saw you on the billboard?
Okay, so her first reaction was she cried, okay, because, well, that was the Grab billboard, because I was actually having a boy, right? He was a make-believe son of mine. He was so we're both receiving the Grab food package.
Okay, yeah.
So at first, actually, she was upset. She was like, I thought I was your best friend. How come there's a boy, right, up there on the billboard? But eventually, we actually drove past that billboard a couple of times, right? Because it was also exciting for the family to even... Now, my parents, who were very afraid or who were mostly like, very hesitant about me doing something outside medicine altogether, they were excited.
Because I think this is also a stereotype, right? Because coming from an academic background, if you want to do something which is very creative, you will have resistance, which in different families have different kind of resistance. But I think it's all about self-belief to want to try it, and also educating in the process to your family members specifically that I'm not hoping for success. I think because sometimes we as women, we ourselves put so much pressure on us to prove a point that yes, I have been good. So let's just say, for example, if you were like fighting through the fact that yes, I want to prove that I am good in medical and I'm good even in the media and the creative space, I think that would have created so much of pressure in you that you would have never enjoyed the journey of going for that commercial, the casting, or even to say going out and doing the Grab and stuff. And that whole led to just one thing, which is go out when the opportunity knocks at your door. It doesn't say it's an opportunity. It doesn't say it's an opportunity.
No,
right?
just say yes and then figure it out later how you're going to do it.
Damn yes.
Yeah. It's so yes.
How did then? I mean, because what you're telling me, I understand that Miss Malaysia hasn't really happened as yet.
No.
So how from a journey of being on a billboard, from commercials, and being a doctor, you actually went to...
Okay. So basically at that time, I think the last advertisement that I did was for Dyson India. Okay. They wanted somebody in their commercials, and they were actually planning to put it up in their cinemas over there. And one of my friends actually watched this particular commercial, and they were like, you're doing so many things now. You've done a couple of commercials, Dyson being the last. And I think you've got quite a bit of experience in being in the media and doing these kind of things.
Don't tell me she told you to be part of the whole Miss Malaysia.
Yeah, she did. So she was like, there's an opening for Mrs. Malaysia, this pageant platform. Like, are you interested? Do you want to join? And I said, pageantry, but I've never thought about pageantry, right? It's really something else. It's a different...
It's a different ball game, because it's not only a confidence walk, but it is also putting yourself out in the world of media on a very larger scale. Because it's Miss Malaysia World. Let's just understand. A lot of people are watching you. And when you just said that you have a friend who told you, there's one side of our brain which says that, hey, she really has got some good friends. I have nobody, who can really tell me. And I think I am that person, because at some point of time, I was too busy with working, right? And not making friends, because I had things to take care of in my life. So most of my hours were back with my laptop, in my office, and that's all. So I could be that person at some point of time that she had some good friends. Maybe that is why she's where she is. But I don't have those good friends. But today, with the growth journey that I've had, I would like to turn that statement for our viewers as well, and for the women who are watching, because they might be thinking what I have been thinking just about 3 years ago as well, which is, yes, she had friends, but if she wouldn't have ever shown that sense of comfort to the friend that, yeah, I'm open to suggestions, yeah, I'm open to feedback, or tell me new things and I'll hear you, I'll not shut you off, or I'm not going to give you any kind of feeling which would make you feel that next time you can never come and say something absurd to me. Because let's just imagine I'm in a corporate space, I'm doing my work, and suddenly a friend like Deepa comes and says to me, Khush, I think I've got something where I'm running a commercial and I think I need a partner where you are making too much of sense. And I'm like, have you gone crazy? Just never call me for that. Would you ever think of ringing me?
No,
Right?
no.
Because I have not made you feel. But if I say, Deepa, I know you're crazy. I know crazy things have happened with you, but I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can. I have that in me. And then you're like, no, you have it in you. You can go ahead and try. But if I say, okay, if I try and what something happens.
Yeah.
So I think it's our reaction also to things, which is a reason why you have friends like who took you to open casting, who took you to even the pageantry. I really applaud you for having that kind of mindset where you really have a sense of curiosity, openness, a sense of going and trying new things, and also absolutely no fear of results. I think that's the most beautiful part.
Yeah, no.
Tell me something. Okay, I really want you to go back in the days. I am sure it would be like the whole Mrs. Malaysia thing would have gone for a few days or weeks.
Yeah.
Was there a moment? Because see, your life is glamorous. It looks very beautiful. If I go to your Instagram as well, I would fall in love with you. So I really want to understand if Deepa had some low moments, or she had moments like, yeah, I think my life is...
Of course. Like I said, like I'll reiterate that, like nobody's life is perfect. And I don't think that I would have ever been where I am today had I not had those difficult times and been at my lowest moments.
Okay.
I think I respect myself even more for going through that.
Okay.
And the end result stays sweeter knowing that it wasn't achieved very easily, that it was difficult. And it was hard, and there were times where, of course, I have cried, of course, where I have, turned back and, second-guessed myself. So many things, right? So pageantry happened first, and it happened somewhere just before the pandemic.
Yeah, because it was 2019 and 2020.
Correct. I was really happy. I was actually using the pageantry, not so much, I didn't really view it as a beauty pageant whatsoever, right? Okay. For me, I think I viewed it more as an opportunity to just challenge myself to try something new, and also to use that platform to advocate for breaking the stigma against mental health, which is something that I advocate for.
Right.
It just gives me a better opportunity to get to know other people, to network, and to also channel my advocacy. Correct. Because through this
because I think in the pageant we have seen that every female is an advocate to something.
Correct. Yeah. So you need an advocacy, and through this it gave me many opportunities for talks, for summits, for even collaborating with other people, like-minded individuals, and not to mention I met 50 other beautiful women from all walks of life, from different careers, right, ranging from backgrounds like finance, to some of them homemakers, and to some of them maybe good in IT. And I learned so much. I just took it as an opportunity to learn so much. So anyway, the pageantry was never something that I regretted. However, I think you would understand that after that around the 2019-2020 period is when COVID started setting in.
Correct.
And I think after that point, or during that point, a lot of people went through a lot of big life events, okay? Some in terms of their careers, some in terms of their relationships. And unfortunately, I was one of those. Okay. And I got my divorce shortly after that. So it was a very difficult time for me. We went through quite a bit of difficulties, and we decided that the best thing was actually to part ways. And that was one very, I would say, challenging period in my life. I felt at my lowest. I felt like I was broken. You see, that may happen to you, but everything else is still going on in your life. You're still expected to turn up to work.
Yeah,
You're still
that's true.
expected to think with a sharp mind when you're dealing with patients.
Yes.
You're still expected to function as a mother,
Correct.
function as a daughter,
Correct.
function as, a colleague.
Correct.
As women, I think we play a very multifaceted role.
Yes.
It's very difficult for us to really tease out each role. It's sort of a very holistic role that we play. And at that point, I felt so low. I felt like I couldn't do anything. I felt so demotivated. But I told myself, and I've always...
Let's just take a pause.
Sure.
Was your mental health affected at that point of time by any chance, or were you really going through a bad patch?
I think I was extremely sad and
Extremely
extremely
sad.
disappointed.
Right.
And it was also quite difficult watching my parents to go through a very a time where I think it was quite difficult for them.
Correct.
And I was trying to hold the fort together, right?
Ah, okay. That just yes.
So what happened basically was there was a moment where I actually sat and thought about it, and I asked myself if I was happy to even begin with in that union, right? And I clearly knew the answer.
Yeah.
It was that I wasn't.
Correct.
And yes, life has stereotypes, or people or the community may have stereotypes of what they expect you to be. But it's completely okay to also not fit in that mold.
It is okay, right?
Yeah, it's completely okay.
At a moment I said that, usually when you hear about things like this, it's like, okay, I'm sorry to hear about your divorce. But honestly, I'm not. I'm actually very happy because staying into a space which really doesn't feel right, it's better to go through that breakdown. It's better to fall so that you can rise, because it's not going to be a stretch. You're not going to, the whole life, you're not going to put yourself through. I really, really would wish, Deepa, because this is a very difficult moment for a woman, and even if you want that to happen, the family and the daughter, the kids, it becomes too much to take care of. Even before you can cater to your emotions, I think you're taking care of everybody else's emotions. So I want to all our audience, especially women audiences right here, is there are situations where they want to come out of marriage, but probably it's the society pressure, it's probably they don't have that kind of financial independence, or neither they feel secured about their emotions, that what if I'm left alone and I'm not. So what advice would you have for those women if they want to come out but they aren't coming out and they're still there? Is there anything that you want to tell them?
I just want to tell them, don't be afraid. A lot of us are afraid of what may happen, but that is the future, and it's not written in stone. We don't know what will happen. We can't predict the future. But what is so important is that you be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Life is too short to live someone else's expectation of you. And ask yourself, if this is what is going to make you happy, and if this is what is going to allow you to grow, then this is the right decision for you. And you're never alone, because support systems are everywhere nowadays. And you will make it. You will find a way. The human race was built for survival.
Yes.
Okay? And I think sometimes we underestimate our capacity to always find a way. And you need to tell yourself, the reason why you're still here today is because you've always found a way. So what makes this different?
Right. Damn right. So if a woman has to choose between growth and her own happiness and the society norms, and she's finding it difficult, what's that one line that you will tell to those women?
I say, like I said, be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself.
As simple as said, it's very hard to do it, because half of the time we're not who we are. We are who we think people think of us who we are. So this barrier of wanting to be someone else's eyes favorite person, or wanting to be that best person because that person expects you to be, whether it's your mom,
it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. You would rather use that energy to build yourself and to do something for yourself.
Okay,
You know?
I'm not sure if it's a hard question, and if it is, you can please feel free to skip it as well. How was it post that?
Sorry?
Post your divorce, how was it? I mean,
To be
because-
honest,
yeah,
I think I've grown so much since then. I literally feel like I've grown wings.
okay,
I think I have felt so much liberation,
okay,
and I feel free. I feel I have actually taken the time to get to know myself, not through someone else's eyes, but who I am.
right,
You know, who I think I am.
right,
And if you ask me, I'm a much happier person. I'm a much contented person.
nice.
It has enabled me to grow. And I like who I am better now than who I was before.
So let me ask you another side of this story, right? It has given you freedom, but does that freedom make you feel lonely any point of time?
It doesn't make me feel lonely. Maybe
Okay,
also
yes.
because I'm very blessed that I have a child. But I also have a very good support system, I would say. Like, I'm blessed with having really good friends, really good family. And I think loneliness is very much a state of mind. Again, it's about
Yes.
shifting your perspective
True,
on things.
true.
Okay? So,
Like even if you can be crowded by 10 people, you
Yeah,
can have
you
all
can
the
still
friends
feel
and you
lonely.
can still feel lonely.
You can still
And that's
feel
what
lonely.
we always say, that's called mental health condition, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can be alone and you still can feel good, like you did as a kid
Yeah,
reading your
you
books,
can.
right?
Because when you find a sense of purpose in life and you engage with your network, or you find a sense of belonging, for example, even in a social group or an NGO, for
Right,
example,
right.
there is a certain sense of purpose which is associated with that.
Right.
And loneliness, again, like I said, is how many people look at it as loneliness and how many people look at it as being in peace.
Yes.
There are two
yes.
ways generally to look at it, right? I would rather be in a place of solitude if it meant that I was happy, rather than be surrounded by 10 people and not have them being genuine and not having them have your best interests at heart.
That's so true. That's so true. So true. And I'm really touched by the fact that you really so comfortably could bring a side of your story which is not very easy for most people to bring in. It just shows how much it matters for you to be able to go out and give that sense of comfort to a lot of women who want to do a lot of things in their life but are not being able to do.
Honestly, Kush, it was also very difficult for me to speak about it. If you ask me as the person who was in the marriage, right? Like
Right,
the person
right,
who I was
right.
before. But looking back now, and I think about it, like, so what if your life isn't perfect or it didn't go as how you wanted it to go? So what? You're still standing. You still have people who love you. You still have so much of passion and zest for life,
Yes.
right? So I don't think we lack anything if we don't really have probably that part of life settled yet. And never say never, because I think there's so much of splendor to life. You never know what's going to happen tomorrow. You never know who you're going to meet tomorrow, right?
And the most beautiful part is that you never overthink and you just go all
Yeah, I
out
just
and
go
you
with
just-
the flow.
You just want to go with the flow, and I think I relate with that, because
Yeah.
the most part of my life, if I would have planned it, I wouldn't have been able
No.
to plan this as well.
No.
Because I cannot imagine myself standing up on the stage. I cannot imagine myself coaching women. I cannot imagine myself really talking to people as on this talk show and all. My life would have been okay. I'm working in an office or I'm running my own business. That's all my imagination can take. So it's about, even we don't know what kind of virtue, what kind of wisdom we have within us unless we put ourselves to that fire,
Yeah.
Because it's like what we say, you put the rock to the fire and it becomes diamond.
Yeah.
Right.
I wear my battle scars on my skin proudly. They're like my tattoos.
Yes, I love that line, that they're like my tattoos.
I don't have tattoos, but I do have my
I too
battle
don't have
scars, and
tattoos.
and they're innate in me, and I wear
Yes.
them proud. Whether they're good, they're bad, they're beautiful or they're ugly, but they are the ones that help shape me to who I am today.
That's true.
And I value hardship. I really do, because without that hardship, you're not going to be grateful for the good times that you have. You're not going to be grateful for the little things that you're blessed with.
True.
You know?
Because it came so easy that it doesn't really...
I think gratitude is so important. It's so important, we tend to overlook it. Even just having the clothes on your back, are you grateful for that? Did you give it a thought about it today? There are people in this world who can't even afford that. But you can. You've got so many good things going on for you. And I am a firm believer in the law of attraction. Like, if you are grateful for the things that you've been blessed with, no matter how small they are, I'm sure there's always, you know, a way for the universe to give to you. So, yeah.
So beautiful. I'm touched. I'm really touched because, and there are a lot of things that I would also love to touch upon, but as we're almost getting to the end of it, you have a spiritual side with your daughter. And if I have to ask you in the next minute or two, if you have to really share that spiritual side of yours so that people can awaken that spiritual side within themselves, and if they haven't really understand the value, because when you say law of attraction, when you say gratitude, I really classify all of this in that spirituality, because
Sure.
it's when you hit your inner core, you realize that there is a universe up there taking care of things.
Yes.
So what is that side of you? Just
Well, I would say I'm not a very religious person.
That's
but
why I said spiritual,
have
yes.
explored spirituality. In fact, I think that has given me a lot of hope. I do believe that there's always, I think it's my belief that there is always a bigger power over there. You can call it God, you can call it the universe, you can call it whatever it is that you want, but there's always something to govern how life works. And I have taken a step back to understand that everything that happens to you happens for a reason, and to just surrender.
Wow.
And to just give it your best hope that things would get better. And of course, like I said, like gratitude is really, really important, and it's something that I've enforced with my daughter, and we do it every night mindfully. We speak about our raw emotions, and I tell her that I love her unconditionally. It is a very safe space for her to speak about anything and everything, and she can ask me things, and nothing is out of boundaries, you know. So we have developed, I would say, a very spiritual connection with each other. Wow. And it is much stronger than the connection that we would have had with each other had we had that complete, so-called complete family. Yeah. So it's very much about perspective. You know,
so if you wouldn't have given yourself that opportunity to say yes to that open casting, you wouldn't have been Mrs. Malaysia World. No. If you wouldn't have really sat down with all those encyclopedia to get answers to those questions, you would have never felt that liberation inside of you to walk up on the stage and do that sense of drama. And more so, if you did not have the courage, you did not have the resilience, and you did not have the power to know that I can take care of myself, I can take care of my little one, even if I'm not part of that so-called complete perfect family. No. Because there is so much more to me than to who I am today.
Yeah.
I think there's so much, even, I mean, I have taken back with this talk today, but I don't want to close it up unless I hear one thing from you. Okay, tell me 3 things. Whoever is listening, whoever, you are a mental health advocate, right? And it's not a fever that has signs, which is visible to us from ages, right? Because we have been trained, okay, your fever, have paracetamol.
Yeah,
I mean, kind of this. So I hope that in 10 years down the lane, even the mental health becomes like a thing that I see symptoms in you, please go and see a doctor.
Sure.
Right? So when it comes to mental health advocacy, I want you to reflect on your journey and also on your medical degree, and share 3 things with everybody who's watching us right now, that what they can do to protect them, to be in that space, and even what are the red flags, right? You know, like if you're doing something like this, then you might want to take a moment and understand what it's about. So maybe a little bit there, if you can talk.
Maybe I may not put it in 3 words because it's a little bit...
Three sentences. Yeah, 3 pointers. 3 pointers.
Okay.
Not 3 words, it's not possible.
Okay.
Yeah. That was a lot of pressure. So, yeah.
Okay, so I think we are responsible for our mental health. You don't wait for anybody to it's really good if you're surrounded by people who are able to recognize it. But I think right now we are actually exposed to a lot of the availability of information out there.
Right.
Okay. So I think when you recognize that you aren't yourself anymore, be curious, find out and what may be going on, and be
Right.
brave enough to come forward and get the help that you need.
I would just go
'Cause
a
it's-
little deeper
yeah.
here. I mean, when you said be curious, right? For example, I have questions, right? And I'm also tangling with my own thoughts. Does writing help?
Of course,
Journaling.
journaling and writing is definitely very therapeutic, because a lot of us sometimes are not really good at about expressing ourselves.
Right,
We are better expressing ourselves through words.
Correct,
Okay, so journaling is definitely one way on how we are able to put our thoughts and feelings out there, and to
Right.
really look at it and have a bird's eye view, and to really be able to interpret that something's going on.
Correct.
Right?
Okay, so that
Yeah.
would be one, which is
Yeah.
be curious.
Yes.
And try to find answers to the question. And if you're overwhelmed, then you write.
Yeah.
What could be the next thing?
Well, I would actually suggest reading a lot of self-help books. I think that is really good.
Okay, okay.
Finding a good self-help book has definitely helped me, especially during harder times.
Okay.
And I've also been a big proponent of listening to good self-healing podcasts.
Uh-huh.
I do. I listen to it in the shower.
Which podcast do you listen?
I
Let's
love
see.
Louise Hay.
Okay.
So Louise Hay is my absolute favorite, and I think listening to her during my very difficult times, I used to listen to her in the shower while driving, or whenever I wake up in the morning, or even if it's the last thing before I sleep, and I felt really good after listening to her, and I still do.
Okay.
It still goes on.
Okay. So let's the
Yeah.
book is the next thing, and what would be the third thing? And third, I would love if you can put across a point where someone who is going through something,
Yeah.
but they don't know. So what are the signals like?
Okay, which particular kind of
In terms of let's just say for health wise, right, mental health, if I am not feeling good, so what are my potential signals, like how do I
Okay, so well, if I were to speak about it in a very general term,
General way,
because
correct,
I mean,
yeah.
when you talk about mental health related concerns, it can be depression, it can be schizophrenia, it can be so many different things,
yeah,
right?
right,
So,
that's true.
well, let's talk about the two most common ones,
Okay.
mainly depression and anxiety.
Okay.
So if you feel that you are not yourself anymore, or someone has actually commented, because sometimes the best people to actually identify that something's not going on right, maybe the people around you who have realized that you may be isolating yourself even more,
Right.
or not really functioning as how you used to be, or not
Okay.
interacting like how you used to be, right?
Isolation, interaction.
Yeah, interaction. Your sleep
responses.
patterns have changed. Your
Okay.
eating patterns have changed.
Right.
Your social communications have changed. You don't really want to interact with people anymore. You rather keep to
That's
yourself,
quite a lot.
right?
Okay.
Or for example, in cases of anxiety, you have palpitations,
Right.
shortness of breath,
Correct.
right? Or you may be like ruminating and worrying about things excessively. We all worry.
Yes.
But if it is to the point where it is affecting your function and you're not able to perform, then these are things that you want to look out for when it's truly affecting your functioning. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you shared all of this. Because I know what it feels like when you're not in the right state, and most of us have been in spaces where we're not in awareness that we go through something.
Yeah.
Okay, so this would be probably my first time that I would admit this, that I have been through. And I didn't know my palpitation actually meant anxiety. I did not know that my short breath meant anxiety. I just knew I was going through something, and then eventually I had to go through journey of coming out of it. So I'm glad that you're bringing this forward, because if this is happening with you on a consistent basis, and if this is something that you're experiencing, then I strongly recommend get help and get the right person to really help you come out of it, because this is just a temporary state. Because my biggest fear was that I will never be able to come out of it. So
Yeah.
if anyone has that fear, I want to tell you that it's just a temporary state. You can come out of it. It's just about a journey and having the right set of people around you. And most of the time, you may not find people around you. You will have to have that openness, and you have to allow yourself to let people come in your life, because if you shut it, then you're definitely not getting that
Yeah,
help.
definitely.
Because my help also came through from a friend. So I would say that it's a journey where we're empowered by people,
Right.
It's only when we open ourselves to that, if we don't, then it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But as we are closing and we're coming to the end, the mental health advocate, the actress, that's what I would like to say, to be honest, because, and even if I'm manifesting it, I am, to be honest, I see an actress sitting right in front of me who has done her academics absolutely fab on, with 12 years of experience in the doctor space, and at the same time has the power to go all out and tell every single woman that you can and you will, and you've got that in you. Just stop overthinking and just stop really messing up with your own life yourself. But that's my takeaway from everything that Deepa has shared. What she wants to say to all of you as a closing statement.
Well, I feel that the power that you hold in your hands, you're not even aware of how great you are, and that you're capable of many, many great things. The first step is always to trust your instinct and to trust yourself, and you will make it, because you always do.
Wow. So damn right. So damn right. And thank you so much for really being with me and on this journey. There were so many takeaways that I couldn't even sum up that well, but this whole episode, number one, having her on the show was amazing. Amazing.
Thank you. You were amazing too.
So, as we're closing, Break Your Barriers, episode 1, I want to ask Deepa, what was your one barrier that you broke in all of these years?
My one barrier was actually worrying about what people thought of me. So I don't...
The imposter syndrome, is that what we say? Like worrying about what people think about us every
No,
time?
so it's like, no, I mean, I think that happens to a lot of people, right? When we make big life decisions, we always, always wondering what other people would think. And I think I've grown through the many years that I have, realizing that it doesn't matter what other people think. It's important what you think of yourself. You have to wake up every day being proud of who you are and loving yourself even more for doing the right thing, although it's the hardest thing.
So you broke your barrier of what people think to what you think.
I did, and
yourself.
I'm still learning. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning.
That's beautiful. I think we all are doing. We all are doing. Wow. So as we are coming to an end, I know you're hoping that, or feeling that it's ended. No, we're going to play one more game before we wrap it up. And the next game is going to be In Your Den. So what is In Your Den?
What is that?
It is, I'm going to ask you questions which is about yourself.
Okay.
And it's just a phrasal response, or, so the question could be, what's your favorite book? So that way, it's just about knowing Deepa, a version that we all did not know, and her Instagram doesn't say about it. Okay? So, let's get started. Shall we?
Yeah. Okay.
In Your Den. I'm coming. So, let's start with, what's your favorite book?
I think my favorite book has to be Gone Girl. It's written by Gillian Flynn. It's because I love psychological thrillers.
Okay.
I love puzzles and always being able to try to, solve them or guess the ending of a book or a story. And I think that book was very beautifully written because the plot twists were all on point. And it enabled my imagination to, to run as freely as the words in the book. So
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now that you mentioned about thrillers, it just gives me, what's the last Netflix that you watched?
Get Out. So that was also a thriller.
Okay, and which one has been your favorite series that you've ever seen in your life?
Favorite series, right? I think it had to be Billions so far. So I think that's still playing on Netflix because it had a psychiatrist actually within the establishment of the company, and I really liked the role that she played over there, and I felt that it was quite inspiring. So yeah.
Okay, and what's the beach location that has always been your favorite?
Bali.
Any mountains that you love?
Well, in Bali, there is Mount Kintamani, which is a volcano.
Yes.
And I think that's been beautiful. I was living in Bali for almost close to 6 years.
Oh.
Yeah, so Bali has always been very close to my heart and everything that's in it. So.
Yeah. Okay, and what's the next travel destination that's on your card?
Oh, wow. I think, where would I like to go? I'd like to go to Italy.
Okay, and which one was the last?
I was in Singapore for the Coldplay concert recently, so yeah.
Guilty as charged. Okay.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, so the last thing is that what is that one secret about Deepa that nobody knows, but now they would?
I do get nervous every time before I go up on stage, or even before I come up here and speak to Khushboo. I do get nervous. Yeah, I mean, as confident as we all look, but we're all human beings at the end of the day. I'm nervous, yeah.
I don't think there could have been a better way to wrap up the entire episode than what you just said.
Okay.
We all are nervous, and it just gives us an opportunity to keep performing better, I guess. And thank you so much, Deepa.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And I think we went on longer as well because we enjoyed our episode and I enjoyed every bit that you shared. And I want to tell you, my favorite part was that when you said that you have the universe taking care of things and you just need to make sure that you keep doing what you have to keep doing, that was my favorite takeaway from the entire episode. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, we're done with the episode 1 of Break Your Barriers, powered by Link Prana Stories. All you got to do is rise and shine, and always make sure that don't let anyone, including yourself, stop you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.